But now moving on to another situation that is causing some mayhem over on Causeway Street. You have Don Sweeney and Jeremy Swayman butting heads. They're butting heads. That's what they're doing. Jeremy Swayman wants this massive contract. He wants to be up there with the top 5 goaltenders getting paid. And Don Sweeney's like, dude, 1, we can barely afford that. 2, you're not good enough yet. Now, again, I'm putting words in both sides' mouth, but that's kind of how it feels. And so Swayman, of course, has an agent who is known as a hot-ass a-hole because he was the one that, they couldn't come to an agreement with Torrey Krug. And then he went out to St. Louis and he got his bag, which, hey, Torrey, happy for you, kid. But unfortunately, he was very injury-plagued and, now he's going to be out now. But with Swayman, as I see the picture, right? Swayman was never once the guy the entire year because it was always a platoon, but the platoon always started with Ullmark. Then when Ullmark got injured this past season, that's when the dynamics switched. But Swayman was, then had a hell of a performance in the playoffs. No two ways about it. But the thing about that was, again, you need to be the guy. If you're going to earn and get paid what you think you deserve, you have to then prove it. And so far, in my opinion, I don't think Swayman has proved it. I think he's done very well given the situation that he's been in. And yeah, there were times where, he's played more games. He played more games than Ullmark and then stepped up and was lights out. Unfortunately, we had a team in front of him that couldn't score, not to mention a Florida Panther team that just threw cheap shots left and right and got away with murder practically. But that's a story for a different day. The thing about it is, I don't mind the negotiation, right? I don't mind it where the player goes out and gets the money, gets the bag, says, hey, this is what I'm paying, this is what I'm owed, pay me, and then if he doesn't get paid, he's gone, sure, good, go for it. Like, I got no problem with that. But then there are times where it's like I look at it and I go, like, what are you asking to get paid for? Why do you think you are owed all of this much money? I mean, a good example to cross sports, Jamar Chase. The dude still has 2 years left on his contract and is looking to get re-upped, looking to get the bag. I'm like, bro, you played 2 years. You still have 2 years left on your contract. What are you talking about? Next year, then go for it. I got no problem next year when you have 1 year left. But now, shut your mouth and play. And for Swayman, it's kind of the same thing. Now that he's not going to be reporting to camp, and Don Sweeney was pissed at the press conference today. God, was he mad. Because there were allegedly false reports that Sweeney didn't return Swayman's calls for 3 weeks. So that report got thrown out there, and this is the first press conference Don Sweeney has had. And so when that question came up, oh boy, was he mad. But dropping some bombs here and there. But no. The thing with Swayman that I'm mad at him for is go out and do it. Go out and be the guy. Be the number one guy. Play 50 games this year. And then, if we make the playoffs, which we should, we're a playoff contender, then go out and do what you did last year. If you do that, bam, here's $10 million a year. Go for it, right? But on the other side, Sweeney is Sweeney's not at fault. Or, excuse me, Sweeney is not. God, what the hell am I trying to say? There is some blame should be thrown Sweeney's way. Okay, this isn't a knock on Swayman like 100%. He needs to shut his mouth, sign a cheap deal, and then move on. No. That's not what I'm saying. That's part of what I'm saying. The other part of what I'm trying to say is Don Sweeney needs to realize that he messed up. That by trading Linus Ullmark, he gave all the leverage to Jeremy Swayman. All the leverage. But in what? He thinks that, by doing that, he's showing a sign of good faith. I mean, I think that's what he was trying to insinuate. Between that, not going to arbitration, trying to show, hey, look, I want you to be our guy. Look, I'm getting rid of Linus Ullmark, who I know you love, but he's getting paid too much if you want the bag, right? So he screwed that up, and frequent commenter Not Doug also points that out as well. With Ullmark gone, Swayman has the leverage. Absolutely. So he screwed that up. And then last year, when they went to arbitration and Swayman, oh my God, talk about just insufferable. I wouldn't wish arbitration on my worst enemy. Blah, 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 blah. Dude, it's arbitration. What the hell is going on upstairs for you to think that you are having PTSD about, hey, I'm owed this number. The team comes back. No, we're going to pay you this number. And then the arbiter splits it right down the middle. What the hell is running through your head to say, I wouldn't wish arbitration on my worst enemy? Like, good God, man. Get it together. With that scares me. If the dude doesn't have the mental capacity to go through arbitration, is he going to be good enough to last an entire playoffs, an entire Stanley Cup playoffs, and win the cup? I mean, he looked great, last year. But be the man. Do it. So with that arbitration is what I'm trying to say. With that arbitration number, I think it came in, 3.5? Don Sweeney had the opportunity to make that a 2-year deal, not a 1-year deal. Instead, Don's like, hey, listen, I know arbitration was tough on you. So here's we're going to do a 1-year arbitration deal, in which case, we'll come back to the drawing table next season, and then we'll try to hammer something out. Instead of being like, no, 2 years, do it again, and then we'll come back to the table. So those are the two areas that really Sweeney messed up on. He could have saved himself some trouble by just picking the 2-year arbitration last year, or keeping Ullmark and trading Swayman. And you know what? I would love to know what are some of the offers that you could have gotten for Jeremy Swayman over Linus Ullmark. Because I sure as hell wasn't happy with the deal for Linus Ullmark. It was okay, but it wasn't great. I was looking for great. Former Vezina winner. Like, come on. It should have been great. So, overall, when I look at the Bruins and I look at Sweeney's tenure, because he's coming up on 10 years. Sweeney's been the general manager for 10 years for this organization. And how has he done? Well, he's made a bunch of playoffs. I think he's got the most wins. He's tied for the most wins with Tampa, and he's got the most points. So, during his tenure, and he's got the 5th most wins in the playoffs. So, listen, Sweeney has built championship contenders. Now, the failure to get it done, that falls on the players and the coaching staff. But Sweeney's put his guys in position to win, especially when you go back to a couple of years ago when we got bounced in the first round, had the best record, all of that. He sold his soul for that team. getting Tyler Bertuzzi, Dmitry Orlov, Garnet Hathaway. I mean, he gave up a lot to get those guys. And I swear, had we gotten past the Panthers, it would have been worth it. And it was worth it. But those guys fell flat on their face. So when I look at John Sweeney and his tenure with the Bruins, coming up 10 years now, as much as I still hate his drafting, the pipeline is producing some potential NHLers. Matthew Patois, Mason Lowry, just to name a few. But overall, I'm looking at this dude. I'm giving him a B-. Main reason, we haven't won. And I understand. I just kind of laid out that winning's not necessarily on him, but it is. It is. The whole thing is based on winning. If you have the most points, you're tied for the most wins in the regular season, and you have the 5th most playoff wins during your tenure amongst the entire league, and you still haven't won a cup, let alone gotten to a second Eastern Conference Finals or a second Stanley Cup Finals. Yeah. He has to take some of the responsibility for that. So overall, Don Sweeney, B-. That's my grade for his tenure. But